Okay, good morning, all of you again. So today, the last topic of the subject, the last module, last topic, last module. So that is ethics in design. So ethics in design. How do ethics play a decisive role in engineering design? So this term ethics might be familiar to you because we as a human being, we are upholding certain values in our life, right? Something like honesty, sincerity, or truthfulness, all those things. So those qualities probably might have been derived or imbibed from our parents. Maybe our friends might have influenced us, or we might have learned those characters or the values from our relatives or elder people, or even from some role models whom we adore or respect. So the ethics or moral values play a great role in our life because ultimately we all want to be happy. That is the human nature. We all want. Nobody wants to be unhappy. So what is happiness? If you define happiness, some of you might or somebody might say earning more money makes you happy, or that is happiness. Or what is successful? What is a success? What is success, or what? Who is a successful person? Is it somebody who makes a lot of money? Is it somebody who makes a lot of fame, or is it somebody else who is really happy? Or successful. So a happy person, what is happiness? Happiness is something being in harmony with yourself, your family members, your people around you, your classmates, or your society, and ultimately with the nature also. That is the true definition of happiness: being in harmony with yourself. First of all, you need to agree with yourself, because we have body and ourself. We as a person, we can consider ourselves consisting of body and self. So self has this values, sincerity, all those things, truthfulness and all. So ultimately, if you look at ourselves, look inside of us, are we really happy, or when are we really happy? So there, do we give any importance to ethical values in life, or when we get a chance to stick to the ethical principles, are we really happy? Or when we dilute some ethical principles, so when we behave sincerely, or when we behave in a dishonest manner, so are we really happy, or what makes us happy and proud, or some sense of achievement? No, they are all, it is there with every individual, whatever field he or she is working in, whatever age he or she is at, it is there. So right now, today, we have the focus of bringing ethics into the design part. So ultimately, design team consisting of human beings. So all the characters of human beings, all the feelings and emotions, or all the values that human beings, keep up in their life, they will definitely influence the kind of professional work that they do also. Because one cannot be totally different in personal and professional lives. That we all agree. Because who we are in our personal life will definitely have an impact on our professional setting also. The kind of work that we do, the kind of interaction that we have, the kind of thoughts and emotions that we all have in our professional environment will definitely have an influence on how good, or how right, or what sort of person we are actually, not outside but inside. What sort of true person are we? What is happening, what is actually going on in our, in our mind, in our subconscious mind, in our self part of our existence. So that is the idea. So in that way, so we will try to see the importance of ethics in the design part when we look at ourselves as a member of a design team. Okay, so a professional person is one who engages in an activity that requires a specialized and comprehensive knowledge, of course, and is motivated by a strong desire to serve humanity. The work of engineers generally affects day-to-day life of all human beings, because right from we get up in the morning till we go to the bed in the late night, engineering impact has tremendous impact on our life. The type of comforts, or the gadgets or devices that we use, all the All the comforts that we use, they are the results of engineering skills and engineering results. So definitely engineers play an important role. That laptop we use, or anything, any household device that we use, they are the results of engineering. So the engineering has an impact. So it affects the day-to-day life of all human beings. So being a professional requires that, in addition to providing the specialized work that is expected of you, because if you are a computer engineer, you develop programs, you develop software, you develop mobile application or some other applications. Apart from that, the professional engineer should provide such services, such software. They should develop the software with honesty, integrity, and morality, isn't it? So engineers and ethics, how they are connected. As members of the learned profession means engineers are part of a learned profession because they act based on the knowledge they acquire. Engineers are expected to exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity. Engineering has a direct, vital impact on the quality of life of people around us. Accordingly, the services provided by engineers require honesty, impartiality, fairness, equity, and must be dedicated to the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare. So, ethical design. According to the dictionary Merriam-Webster, ethics is defined as the discipline dealing with what is good and bad, and with moral duty and obligation. What is our duty? What is our obligation? Ethical design is therefore design made with the intent to do good, and unethical design is its other side, or black hat counterpart. So ethical design, unethical design. So think for a while. So I'll try to bring your attention to some of the experience that we all have. So when you use when you install different mobile apps, or when you use certain websites, they all ask for a lot of permissions. Say for example, you go to Google Play Store or Apple Store, and you try to install any app, it requires a lot of permission. Sometimes the permissions might seem irrelevant, isn't it? Even when we try to install a dictionary, it might require permission to your contacts, to your photos, gallery, and all those things. Have you ever wondered why do they need this? Isn't it? Because for the working of the dictionary, they don't need access to your photos, obviously. Then still, in order to use that app, we need to give permission to our personal contacts, personal photos, all those things sometimes. So why it is required? So my question is such app, or are such apps designed with ethical values? Such websites, are they designed ethically right? That is a question I would like to present before you. So sometimes user data preferences, personal or health data. So whenever we use a software, whenever we browse a website, sometimes our personal data or health related data, sometimes our preferences. So maybe buying patterns, or the type of purchase that we make, how frequently we do purchase, what sort of items, what sort of items we purchase, what is the price range of those items. All these details are sometimes used inadvertently or advertently for some other activities without our consent. That is important, without our consent. And another example which we are familiar with is, how do we get promotional calls often? How many a time we get calls from different people, maybe from some company, maybe from some sellers, manufacturers, some advertising firms. We get promotional calls. How do they get our phone numbers, our contact details? Have you ever thought like that? So these are all the unethical part of design aspect. So examples of product design that fail on the ethics front: news feed promoting fake news. Now we live in an era, in a phase, in a time where fake news are promulgated or disseminated in a strong way, and that has a strong impact, huge impact on the public as well. So one classic example of a proven fake news being circulated was, if you remember, 2016 US elections. So not this year, 2020 we had recently we had election, in 2004 years back, 2016. So at that time, this fake news being disseminated through Facebook, and it was alleged that Russian government was behind that fake news being alleged. And the importance of that fake news is that was those fake news. It was favoring Donald Trump at that time. It was not in support of Hillary Clinton. So purposefully, such fake news, even those who create those news, they know that it is fake. Those who disseminate, those who distribute, those who spread the news know that. Many of you know that. Many of them know that it is fake news. But still, using technology, using news feeds, using web feeds, they tend to circulate. They tend to spread this fake news to tarnish the image of other individual. So this is actually unethical design of an example of unethical design of unethical use of technology, we can say. Another example, in 2017, a video posted to Twitter captured two Facebook employees using a soap dispenser. So they are using a soap dispenser or sanitizer in an employee bathroom. The white employee places his hand when the white employee places his hand under the dispenser, he immediately receives soap. But when the black employee, complexion, the race of individual, when the black employee holds his hand under the soap dispenser, nothing happens because the dispenser is not able to recognize the hand of the individual because his color is black. So we need to think whether this is ethically right. This particular design is ethically right. This I am giving you for a thought. So this is a screenshot of that video when the white-handed person, he receives soap, and person from the other race, black race, when he tries to use this soap dispenser, he does not actually get the soap. So unethical design, how it affects, how unethically this dispenser is designed. We need to think. So ethics in design starts first with figuring out what your own values are as a person. This, as I told in the beginning, how strong are we how strong we are as an ethical person. What are our strong values, and how that personal values translates to a professional setting. That is important. Then you see how those values, how the values that you keep or uphold with you as an individual, how that is aligned to your company, because you may be working in a company or you may be working with the design of a product. So the fundamental question over here is, are you an ethical designer? Are you an ethical engineer? That is the question. So case study, another we can think of this case study, designing cigarette lighters or weapons, because cigarettes, we know it is harmful for our health. Those who smoke, they are seriously affected. Their lungs and other internal organs are affected, very badly affected because of the smoking. So when we are a part of this is an imaginary case, when we are part of a design team who designs cigarette lighters. So are we really happy to work over there? Do our ethical values permit or encourage us to be a part of the design? Because we are using our intelligence, we are using our design capabilities to design cigarette lighters, but those lighters will be ultimately used by people for smoking. So are we really happy? Another example is weapons, because suppose you are working in a weapon industry and you are paid heavily, maybe lakhs per month because you are an intelligent designer, you are an intelligent engineer, professionally highly qualified and efficient, and you are being paid huge salary for your engineering skills. And ultimately, think if this is the case, that you are using your engineering and design skills for designing weapons, designing guns, designing missiles, or designing bombs or something like that. So are you really happy? Because your skills and efficiency or knowledge are translated. Ultimately, they are what purpose these weapons are used for? Definitely for not good, because to kill people, to destroy countries and other assets, isn't it? So this is the ethical side of the story. But when you look at legally, this may be legally permitted, because cigarette smoking is permitted in India, weapons are permitted in India, weapon industries are permitted, but legally there is no problem. Legally, there is no problem, but ethically, morally, how happy are we really ready to work for such industry? Are we ready to discharge our our skills even when we are paid heavily? So that is important, because we all work for money. Money is important, but imagine we are paid heavily, we are given huge salary, but are we when we uphold some moral values, or what is the type of morality that we hold to ourselves? That is the question. So design ethics comes in many forms, from how you choose your projects, as I told in the previous slide. What is the type of project that we would like to associate with? What is the type of project that we would like to disassociate with? How you work with clients? Clients may approach us. Maybe they may be giving some undue advantage, some unwanted, some comforts, or some gifts or something like that. They may give bribes, or some. In that case, how do we behave? Or there may be copyrights or legal violations sometimes. Let us assume that you would never break a law or violate. This is the other side of the story. So imagine you would never break a law or violate copyright or plagiarize in any way, because you are not doing anything. You are not violating any copyright. You are not doing any plagiarism, and you always bill fairly and work honestly. Ethics can go beyond these things. That means, consider this scenario. Choosing between clients that are competitors, if both come to you for business, because you are designing something, and competitors come to yourself, because client one comes to you, then client two comes to you. How do you serve both of them? Because they are competitors. Then what is the type of how do you treat them equally? Because will you tell the second person that the first person has come to you, and you have who you have had an agreement with him, you have signed a deal with the first person? Will you tell the second person that thing, or will you hide the fact that the first person has not come to yourself, and you will try to imagine that you are the only person when the second person approaches you? What will be your stand in this case? Can you take both clients, or will you take both clients? Should you tell them that you are working with the other? So this is our first case. So our morality and ethical values play a huge role. The type of decision that we take, the type of choice that we make, the morality, the ethical values that we have as an individual, that we keep to our heart, close to our heart as a professional, they play a significant role. Another scenario: do you bill a client for the full quote if you finish in half the expected time? Because initially you had an agreement with the client for so and so money, let's say 10 lakhs, and you thought that this would require, say, 2 months of time for you to finish that project, and thinking that you would require 2 months of time, and you have demanded 10 lakhs of money from the client. But when you started working on the project, it finished so fast that you could finish the project within 1 month. And what would be your reaction? What would be your reaction? Will you refund some money to the client, because you could save a lot of time? Because initially you were thinking that you would require 2 months, but you only consumed 1 month. So what would you do? How is your reaction? What is the company policy, and how do you actually feel about it? So, or will you hide this fact that you completed within 1 month? But even then, will you tell the client that it required 2 months of time, even when you required only 1 month of time, and you will take the full quote? Will you take the full quote, or will you return something to the client? It's all moral side, because legally you are not wrong, because you all signed an agreement initially that, okay, I am ready to pay the 10 lakhs of money as a client. I am ready to pay the company 10 lakhs of money, and then there is nothing wrong. Even if you finish within 1 month of time, there is nothing legally wrong. But morally or ethically, is that right or wrong? That is something which we all should think about as an individual. Because in life, when you start working as a professional, there are a lot of challenges, a lot of testing scenarios, testing situations will come to our life, and there we need to take brave decisions, clear decisions. Then that decisions or that choices will definitely have to be guided by our ethical values and principles. That is the essence. Will you do that? Story continues, that scenarios continues. Will you do design work that goes against your moral standards? Suppose a client comes to yourself and design for something, but it is against your moral standards, maybe something obscene or something like that. And will you design by accepting those huge amount of money? So do you leave a professional organization for having standards that are not in line with your companies, because you think that Imagine you are working in a company and you think that the moral standard of the company is low. It's not in line with the moral values that you uphold in your life. But the company is paying you heavily. The payment is not an issue. But will you stay with the company, or will you leave the company and search for some other job where you feel morally happy or ethically happy? So these are all scenarios, that we should think carefully, and you all should give some answers to these questions, isn't it? You all think of these scenarios and take a piece of paper and write down your answers, yes or no. Then you give your sincere answers, true answers. To ask yourself, ask your inner self. Don't pretend anything. Don't think that somebody will know, because it is quite nobody will come to know you. Only it's for self-analysis, and depending upon the true answers, you think what is the moral standard, and then if it is low, try to do I need to improve my moral standard? If the moral standard is okay, it is okay. If it's satisfactory, it is okay. Otherwise, if the answers are not in line with the accepted norms, accepted standard, then we need to definitely think of improving our moral standard and moral values or ethical values. So this is for personal introspection. So ethics at the personal and professional levels play a crucial role. So that is the essence of the discussion. What are professional ethics? A professional code of ethics has the goal of ensuring that a profession serves the legitimate goals of all its constituents: self, employer, clients, and public. That is the importance, because for a professional, he has a self. First of all, I am a professional. I am a human being. I need to satisfy myself. Whatever I do for money, ultimately at the end of the day, I should be happy. The means I use to gain money, I should be happy inside. That is why it should satisfy the self. Then it should satisfy the employer, because the employer should be happy. Then only then will he give you money. Then client should be happy, isn't it? Because then only will you get more proposals, more offers. Then public also should be happy, because you should not do anything which harms the security, safety of public. The code protects the members of the profession from some undesired consequences. This ethical professional code of ethics. So that code protects the members of the profession from some undesired consequence of competition. So unwanted competition, isn't it? So that is to pressure to cut corners to save money. That means to do unwanted things to save money, because to reduce the quality and make more profits, while leaving the members of the profession free to benefit from the desired consequences. So they are undesired consequences, to cut corners to save money, but to enjoy the comforts or the profits that the profession is free to benefit from the desired consequences. What are they? Invention and innovation. Because of professional competition, you tend to invent more. You will have more innovation. You will have more invention. All those things. Those sort of things are desired consequences. But unscrupulous activities are undesired consequences of competition, if you do in your professional life. So this professional code of ethics, most of the professional organizations, we will see examples, most of the professional societies, professional organizations have a professional code of ethics. It enables engineers to resist pressures for professional desires, greed, ideology, religion, or politics to override professional ethics. However, several engineering societies have developed a code of ethics that must be followed by its members. These codes get reviewed and updated when necessary. So this is an example: National Society of Professional Engineers. They have a code of ethics for engineers. So NSPE, National Society of Professional Engineers. This is a US-based professional society, and all the professional engineers will have to take membership in that. And that society has a code of ethics. And what it says: fundamental canons. Fundamental canons means fundamental rules or principles. Engineers, in the fulfillment of their professional duties, shall hold paramount safety, health, and welfare of the public, perform services only in areas of their competence, issue public statements only in objective and truthful manner, act for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustees, avoid deceptive acts. These are all self-explanatory, I guess. Conduct themselves honorably, responsibly, ethically, and lawfully, so as to enhance the honor, reputation, and usefulness of the profession. So that is American Society for Professional Engineers. The second example, American Society for Civil Engineers. All the civil engineers in America will be members of this professional society, and it also has a code of ethics, fundamental principles of that society, ASCE. It says engineers uphold and advance the integrity, honor, and dignity of the engineering profession by number one, using their knowledge and skill for the enhancement of human welfare and the environment. Number two, being honest and impartial and serving with fidelity the public, their employees and clients. Third one, striving to increase the competence and prestige of the engineering profession. Fourth one, supporting the professional and technical societies of their disciplines. So these are the four fundamental principles. And a subset, again, another set of rules, fundamental canons, which is depicted in the American Society for Civil Engineers. Engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public and shall strive to comply with the principles of sustainable development in the performance of their professional duties. Engineers, second one, engineers shall perform services only in areas of their competence. This is something similar to the previous American Society for Professional Education. So there is some overlap in that, because ethics cannot be totally different, entirely different. Only the wording can be different to a certain extent. Engineers shall issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner, exactly similar. Engineers shall act in professional matters for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustees and shall avoid conflicts of interest. Engineers shall build their professional reputation on the merit of their services and shall not compete unfairly with others. Engineers shall act in such a manner as to uphold and enhance the honor, integrity, and dignity of the engineering profession and shall act with zero tolerance for bribery, fraud, and corruption. Zero tolerance for bribery, fraud, and corruption. Seventh one, engineers shall continue their professional development throughout their careers and shall provide opportunities for the professional development of those engineers under their supervision. Third and last example is IEEE Code of Ethics. What is IEEE Code of Ethics? It says to accept responsibility in making decisions consistent with the safety, health, and welfare of the public and to disclose promptly factors that might endanger the public or the environment. Second one, to avoid real or perceived conflicts of interest whenever possible and to disclose them to affected parties when they exist. To be honest and realistic in stating claims or estimates based on available data. Fourth one, to reject bribery in all its forms. To improve the understanding of technology. Sixth one, to maintain and improve our technical competence. Seventh one, to seek, accept, and offer honest criticism of technical work. Eighth one, to treat fairly all persons. Ninth one, to avoid injury others. 10th one, to assist colleagues and co-workers in their professional development. So, conclusions. What is the conclusion? Ultimately, ethics is intensely personal. Returning to our question about designing cigarette lighters, the matter necessarily resolves to, should I be working on this project? While the professional societies produce and insist upon standards of professional conduct, it is individual practitioners who practice engineering. So what is the final takeaway? You should strive to be as ethical as possible in your dealings as a professional engineer, professional designer. It will definitely help establish your position as a credible and professional engineer. Clients will know what to expect from you, and in turn, your relationships with the clients will be smoother if you display a high level of personal integrity and ethical values. So that is the takeaway. So with that, we wind up this session. One more point, conflict of interest. So I will make it clear. What is conflict of interest? Whenever we do something, there is some conflicts of interest. So say, for example, when we can take the academic example. So I am a faculty and I am doing invigilation. Say, for example, I am doing invigilation. So what is my moral duty and obligation when I do a invigilation? I should treat all my students, all the contestants, students who are taking the exam equally, isn't it? I should not be partial with any one of them. But the conflict of interest comes now sometimes because we are all human beings. Suppose our close relative is appearing for the exam. So will we give some extra 2 minutes for that person? Isn't it? So will you show some undue favor to that person? So there is a conflict of interest, isn't it? So how to avoid the conflict of interest, because the easiest and best possible way is don't take up that exam duty. Tell the authority that my close relative is appearing for the exam, so I cannot take up the examination because I have a conflict of interest. So that is one example of conflict of interest. So that also affects our, that conflict of interest is also affected because of the ethical value that you uphold. So if you are not ethically sound, if you are not morally good, no, what will you do? You will take up the exam duty and you will help that person, and that shows your morality, how whether it is above or means substandard, or whether you are not ethically good or not ethical, or you are ethically strong. So conflict of interest sometimes will happen in our professional life, and that is impacted by the ethical values that we uphold. So this is the role of ethics in the professional setting, especially when we are part of a design team. How our ethical values, moral values, or the principles as a personal, as a professional, and how it affects our design and professional setting. So that's all for this ethics in design. So if you have any doubt, we can discuss that. I think we have 3 more minutes. Thank you all for your attention.